I've spoken about vegan or vegetarian diets several times in past videos, but I want to talk a little bit more about it in this video because of many other videos I've seen recently on YouTube. Most of them I don't listen to all the way through because they're garbage. But in any case, some of these vegan advocates are stating things which are not true, particularly in relation to the use of vegan diets for building muscle. They're trying to more or less suggest that you can, in fact, they even made a documentary about it. I think Arnold appeared in it. Don't remember the title because it was a kind of a forgettable documentary. They tried to focus on a number of athletes who were vegans with the kind of unstated claim that these are successful athletes. They don't eat any animal protein foods at all, so there's no reason to eat animal protein foods. And other aspects of that film were nonsensical. I don't want to get into it. Other people have offered critiques of that film, and I'm not going to do that in this video. However, I want to discuss the truth about whether you can build about the same amount of muscle on a vegan diet as you can on a omnivorous diet. Omnivorous meaning that's a diet that includes both plant and animal protein foods. Now, if the first aspect to consider is vegetarianism entails several types of, let's say, vegetarian diets. Some of them are more useful and don't affect muscle building progress whatsoever. A good example is what they call a lacto-ovo vegetarian. An example of a person who did this, who is a successful bodybuilder, was Bill Pearl, who died a couple of months back at the age of 91. He won the Mr. America in 1953, and he won 4 Mr. Universe titles. Bill Pearl, in his later years, was a lacto-ovo vegetarian. He was never a vegan. In other words, he never subsisted solely on fruits and vegetables. Now, there was a reason why Bill Pearl became a lacto-ovo vegetarian, because Bill Pearl was of Native American descent. Native Americans tend to, through genetic mechanisms, they tend to develop a disease called gout, which involves the excess deposition of uric acid in joints. It can be very painful. Bill Pearl developed this and decided, he was an intelligent man and he did a little research. He noted that one of the ways to treat gout is to get rid of foods that tend to produce higher amounts of uric acid. Some of these were animal protein foods. So Bill Pearl reasoned that why not just get rid of all the animal protein meat foods and instead focus on the milk and egg proteins, which coincidentally happen to be the highest biological value protein of all proteins. Both milk and egg protein is superior protein to any type of meat protein because milk and egg protein has a better balance and a greater amount of essential amino acids, and essential amino acids are the amino acids needed to promote muscle growth. So Bill Pearl became a lacto-ovo vegetarian. It was late in his career. I don't think he started this before he was 30 years old. In his early years, he did eat animal protein foods. He often neglected to mention them. A lot of people got the impression that Bill Pearl was a lifetime lacto-ovo vegan. It's not true. He ate meat earlier. He switched over when he got to be probably mid-30s or early 30s. That's when he became a lacto-ovo vegetarian. And it did not affect his muscle building efforts at all. Why would it? You're eating the 2 best biological value proteins, milk and eggs. It's not going to affect it. And then you have the pesco-vegetarian. This is a person who cuts out meat, like red meat, but he still eats fish, and that's the main source of protein. Of course, the rest of the diet would be fruits and vegetables, plant foods. A pesco-vegetarian also has little or no problem building muscle because fish protein is an excellent source of protein. And not only that, but they have the advantage, the pesco-vegetarians, of getting nutrients that are not normally found in a straight vegan diet. 2 that come to mind are the omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA, which are found almost exclusively in marine sources, meaning fatty fish such as halibut, sardines, mackerel, salmon. Only the fatty fish contain appreciable amounts of the omega-3. Omega-3 is very important for various health reasons. EPA, one of them, has been recently found to decrease the incidence of cardiac mortality or heart problems by 25%. In relation to muscle building, omega-3 fatty acids offer an anti-inflammatory effect. Extended inflammation tends to promote muscle catabolism or breakdown. So a person who's a pesco-vegetarian who eats fish is getting probably plenty of omega-3 fatty acids. And in addition, they're getting a particular amino acid, which is almost not found at all in vegan foods, plant foods, and I'm talking about taurine. And I've done past videos on taurine. I've written about it in my Applied Metabolics publication. Taurine is a tremendous amino acid, very underrated, has a lot of health aspects. I personally use taurine each night. I take about 3 to 4 grams before sleep because it interacts with certain receptors in the brain called GABA receptors that are what they call inhibitory neurotransmitter. GABA is an inhibitory neurotransmitter that when activated, it helps you sleep. Most sleeping pill drugs work by promoting GABA activity. And taurine more or less does it on its own. So does glycine. That's another story. I've done another video on glycine. But so pesco-vegetarian has no problem building muscle because he's getting great amino acids from the fish. And he's also getting taurine, which is a great amino acid, also related to muscle building. And he's getting omega-3. Where the real problem lies in the other types of vegetarian diets, and I'm talking about vegan diets. A vegan diet is defined as eating exclusively plant foods. I believe you can also have grains on that too, whole grains, but no animal protein foods whatsoever. And right away that creates a problem because plant foods have a lot of great nutrients. The advantage of plant foods is that they have nutrients collectively called phytonutrients. Phyto means plant. These are various flavonols and polyphenols. They're not found in animal foods. So if you don't eat some plant foods, you're not getting these protective nutrients, and that's a great advantage of vegan plant food or plant-based diet. However, as far as the protein content, it's limited. In other words, plants definitely contain protein, as a lot of these vegan advocates point out. However, the protein quality is the problem. Plant foods generally don't have the right balance of essential amino acids that are optimal for promoting muscle growth. And not only that, but even more importantly, and I pointed this out in an article I did about whether you can build muscle on a vegetarian diet, that was in Applied Metabolics. There's a lot more detail in that article, by the way, about this subject. But in any case, I pointed out in that article, to me, the major problem with eating exclusive plant foods in relation to muscle building is that plant foods are simply harder to digest. So even if they contain a good amount of amino acids, a lot of it will not be taken up because they're not digested. Believe it or not, one of the advantages of a vegan diet, the high fiber content. That's another great advantage. One of the reasons why a vegan diet is associated with lower rates of cardiovascular disease and cancer is because of the inherent high amount of dietary fiber, which feeds the intestinal microbiome, the collection of bacteria, fungi, and other organisms in the colon that have a huge aspect on health and longevity and disease prevention. But the fiber also tends to interfere a little bit with the protein digestion. For example, they found soy protein is a common plant protein staple. Well, soy protein actually is almost a complete protein. It's some studies have shown that it's comparable to animal proteins. In other words, it has all the amino acids. The problem with soy protein is A, it's harder to digest, and B, when they've studied the pathway of what happens when you ingest soy protein, they find that a lot of it's largely used by the gut. In other words, it's used to replenish proteins of internal organs rather than muscle. A smaller amount of soy protein is used. Now, in contrast, high-quality animal proteins such as whey, milk, and eggs, they are used. They are not used mainly for the intestinal organs. They are used for. They go to the muscle where they help to build muscle. Now, it should also be noted that I should also say that the other main problem with the exclusive plant diet or vegan diet is a lack of certain nutrients that only exist in animal foods. The main one that comes to mind is vitamin B12. Now, I've seen a lot of several vegan advocate YouTube videos where they did deficiency, and it's overplayed and it's all nonsense. And they say that B12 does exist in plant foods. That is a false assertion. The type of B12 found in plant foods is not is not usable by the human body. In other words, it can't be used by the human body. Hold on, what's something wrong here? Wait a minute. Anyway, so in other words, it's not. The plant foods. The B12 is not as assimilable. For the B12 that's found in these, let's say, plant foods or green foods, it can't be used by the human body. So you have to have an outside source. Of course, an easy solution to this is just to take vegan-based B12 supplements, which I consider absolutely essential for anybody who's following a plant-based diet. You have to take a supplemental B12 or you will get in trouble. Do not depend on plant foods for that. Another possible deficiency would be for iron. The mineral iron is very important for blood building. That prevents a certain type of anemia. The iron does exist in plant foods, but it's in a form called non-heme iron, which is, again, harder to absorb. The type of iron found in meat, for example, is called heme iron. It's much greater assimilability, easier to absorb. A lot of women don't like to eat heavy protein foods like meat that contain the assimilable form of iron, meaning heme iron, so they depend on vegetables. Unfortunately, they are not probably getting optimal uptake of iron, which explains why a lot of women suffer from iron deficiency anemia. Again, easy solution. Just take a supplement that contains iron. I don't think men really, unless you're a vegan, if you're a vegan male, it's probably a good idea to take a supplement that contains iron. If you're not a vegan, men do not need to take iron supplements because iron is recirculated in men's bodies, and excess iron can cause problems. Unbound iron in the blood is a oxidizing agent that can cause a lot of health problems. There's another problem that often not mentioned is the trace mineral iodine. Iodine is found in fish. The chief source of iodine in the diet is usually iodized salt. However, with the focus on salt being related to high blood pressure, and doctors are telling people to cut down on salt, a lot of people have eliminated iodized salt. And as a result, iodine deficiencies are coming back. They were very rare for many years until recently. Rare in the United States, not around the world. Iodine deficiencies are much more prevalent. But in the United States, iodine deficiencies were very rare for many years because of iodized salt availability. However, because of the focus on reducing salt, iodine deficiency has come back. I'm going to be doing an article about iodine and the situation with iodine, but suffice to say, vegan diets contain almost no iodine. Again, the main source of iodine are marine sources, fish, seaweed like kelp, and so on and so forth. Another problem with vegan diets are the lack of vitamin D, which is found in some animal foods. You can get it from sunlight. Vegan can easily solve that problem by just going out with this shirt off. If you're a woman, wear a top or you'll get arrested or something. But but the sun has to be in the right. I've talked about this. To get vitamin D from the sun, Yeah, the sun has to be in the right angle in the sky to emit a certain wavelength of UV rays, which react with the cholesterol in the skin to convert the cholesterol into vitamin D. If the sun is not in the right place in the sky, which it very often isn't in northern latitudes in the winter, you can go out and walk around naked and you're still not going to get much vitamin D. If you have darker skin, it's going to be harder to make vitamin D from the sun. If you have a lot of body fat, the vitamin D that you make in the skin is going to be sequestered in fat, not going to do any good. And if you're older, the efficiency of producing vitamin D from cholesterol in the skin goes down. Again, simple solution. Take a vitamin D supplement. Vitamin D3. If a vegan takes a vitamin D3 supplement, they will have no problems whatsoever. There's a possibility of being a little bit low on zinc when you're a vegan. Zinc is a very important trace mineral. It's needed for testosterone, insulin, and even growth hormone release. So it's very important for bodybuilding and fitness. Now you might say, well, does that mean that anyone, if you add this all up, does this mean that anyone who follows a vegan diet or lifestyle has no chance of building muscle? No, that's not true. Here's what you have to do. If you want to build muscle and be a vegan, now I should also mention that I think the main reason to be it, before I talk about this, the main reason to be a vegan, in my opinion, is ethical reasons. I love animals, and I'm kind of a semi-vegan myself. I still eat some animal protein foods, but I've cut it down drastically in the last couple of years, and it's not for health reasons. It's mainly because I don't like the thought of eating animals. So there's that ethical reason. The ethical reason, to me, is the primary real reason to become a vegan. The health aspects are tend to be overplayed because, God damn it, hold on a second. Oh, I should have disconnected it. The health aspects are overplayed. As a matter of fact, studies that have compared the mortality of meat eaters or omnivores, or let's say meat eaters with strict vegans, show that vegans do not live any, contrary to what you hear in a lot of these vegan videos, vegans do not live any longer than those who eat meat. Vegans, the advantage of vegans is they probably ingest fewer calories, total calories, and ingesting fewer calories a day does tend to increase longevity. But as far as the studies go, vegans tend to not live any longer than meat eaters. They so it doesn't infer or offer any increased what should I say, increased longevity benefits. So getting back to what I was saying earlier, can you build muscle and be a vegan? The answer is yes. You just have to ensure that you get all the missing nutrients I just spoke about, and also you have to eat more food because fruits and vegetables contain less protein. You'll simply have to eat more. You have to eat a lot more food to get the amount of protein needed to build muscle on a vegan diet. Now, you do have an alternative to that too. Again, in recent years, because of the rise in vegetarian popularity, they've come out with vegan-based protein supplements, such as pea protein, protein from hemp, and protein from rice. All of these proteins, and there's a couple others, all of these proteins are definitely usable as a protein supplement for vegans who just don't want to shovel in a lot of food to get the necessary protein needed to build muscle. You want to double the dose. In other words, 2 scoops, let's say rice protein. If you want to equal, let's say, the amino acid content of whey, which is loaded with amino acids, you would take 2 scoops of rice protein to equal a scoop of whey. If you do that, you will get all the essential amino acids you need, and protein won't become a problem. So to sum it all up, yes, you can build muscle on a vegan diet. It just takes more work. In other words, you have to ensure that you get all these nutrients that are missing because of a lack of animal foods, and you have to ensure that you get enough of the essential amino acids. The rest of it is up to you. It's what you do in the gym. It's how hard you train, how smart you train. and so on and so forth. So that's about it. I'm going to have more about this, including I'm going to be doing an article in my Applied Metabolics publication that compares bodybuilders who went on a vegan diet and an animal protein diet, and they studied the progress and the effects on the body of these bodybuilders for several months. I'm going to be writing about that in Applied Metabolics. It's too much to go into in a video like this. And as I said, I've already written about vegetarianism, various aspects of it in Applied Metabolics. For nutrition, exercise science, anti-aging research, hormonal therapy, ergogenic aids, what else? Women's health and fitness, effective fat loss techniques. All of these topics are covered in Applied Metabolics. www.appliedmetabolics.com. When you subscribe, I'll send you a invitation to join. You have to send me an email and I'll send you an invitation to join my private Applied Metabolics Facebook page, where each day I post new information on nutrition, exercise science, and general health. I have an email portal on my Applied Metabolics webpage, where each day I post new information on medicine, exercise science, and nutrition only for subscribers. And that's for the Facebook page. The email portal is for subscribers. If they want to send me short questions about anything they read in Applied Metabolics or anything that comes to mind related to fitness and nutrition, I'll answer them as a appreciation of their subscription. I don't answer unsolicited questions. You're welcome to leave comments under these videos about possible future video topics. If you like my videos, please subscribe. It's free, and if you subscribe, I think you get an email notice every time a new video is posted. But just so you know, I post a new video every Tuesday. It's about 4 months. So again, but consider subscribing to Applied Metabolics, www.appliedmetabolics.com, because it's much more in depth than any of these videos could possibly be. I mean, the videos are more like headlines. If you really want the in-depth information, you have to read Applied Metabolics, and no one covers as many topics as I do in Applied Metabolics, and nobody can equal my experience of over 60 years of constant study, research, and in the field practice in the gyms. I know what works and what doesn't work, and I include that in Applied Metabolics. So that's about it. If you want to have the best friend you'll ever have, go to your local shelter and adopt a dog. Thank you.